realized like I was actually just doing all the things I didn't need to be doing, and I had created something that was just another job. But now I was able to take a look and step back and be like, wow, this is what I had envisioned. This is the game plan. And it just involved me not being physically doing all the labor.
Real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from, where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward. Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast with myself, Trevor Kale. As always, Kilo G.
What's up, what's up?
Guys, we have a guest today. We have a special guest today. A 3-year podcast listener is what we just found out. Adam McChesney owns a marketing company. He's been in some of the same entrepreneur groups that we've been in. We've kind of known about each other for, many years. So it's good to finally connect with you and hear about your journey.
Yes.
And we defined journey earlier today. We're like, oh man, but he said, yeah, it's been a journey. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can get a flat tire on the side of the road on the way to vacation. That's like, yeah, it was a journey to get here. He didn't say it's been absolutely amazing, but in reality, let's just call a spade a spade. It's business, right? That's really what it is. It's a journey full of ups and downs and lefts and rights. And so we're excited to have you on and excited to have you fly out and be with us, even if it's just for a couple hours. So we appreciate that, dude.
Yeah.
Sponsor also for the RBO live event in September in Dallas. You will be sending out, a representative of your company, if you will. Tell them the name of your company, a little bit about yourself, kind of how you grew up, how you got to the point of entrepreneurship, right?
And tell them how insane they are if they don't come to the event.
Yeah.
Right? You got to come. You got to come hang out with us.
Well, if you don't, you're a loser with a capital L, so.
Yeah, we only got about 100 tickets left to sell?
Something like that. I don't know. I haven't looked at the spreadsheet lately.
People better snag them up, dude, before they're gone.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited to be here. I've been a huge fan of you guys. Coming up on 3 years. And I was actually looking. I had a Facebook message that I sent to you guys back in March of 2021 trying to pitch to come on the podcast back then. So
what did we say? What did we say?
Hey, I'll give it. No, you said I'll give one of your other episodes. I was doing an episode with Mike Claudio. You're like, yeah, I'll give it a listen. I'm flying down to Florida right now. I'll give it a listen. And then I kind of just left it at that because I assumed maybe you listened to the episode and it wasn't what you were looking for. But
I listened. I thought you bombed, bro. And so I was like, dude, he's probably grown a lot in 2 or 3 years.
Well, now he's on some big stages, dude.
It's impossible for you to bomb, bro. No. You're out there crushing the game and doing awesome shit. You know?
No, I just wanted to. I wanted to
and
throw
I'm sorry,
that in there,
dude.
Yeah.
We were traveling, so I'm gonna just chalk it up. I'll use that as an excuse. So.
That's all good.
But at that time, we did get a lot of people, just random ass people request, and we still do. Emails and DMs and this, that, the other. And sometimes you get requests, and you're like, look, they don't even follow the account. You're like, bro, you want to be on the podcast? Have you even listened to a episode? You're not even following the account. Like, first things first, support. I've never seen your name. I've never seen you comment on our shit, and you're not even following us. Like I've said
that
that
seat is reserved for our alliances, dude.
Yeah.
People we want to rub shoulders with.
Yeah. And
or they can pay. Like when the PR firms hit us up, we're like, you know what? You want
that's when we start doing 10 grand, hop on, when you're making
we haven't done that yet. I did respond
haven't.
once, like, hey, $5,000, we'll do a podcast with you. And they never replied.
That's the best way to get them to stop hitting us up. Yeah, there you go. Anywho.
But other than that, Adam McChesney, born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. Lived there pretty much my entire life. Married to my wife, Delaney, having our first child together. We're having our first baby coming up in September, so super excited about that, baby boy. Other than that, I spent 5 years in medical device sales right out of college and did that. Worked
That's
for a
good
company.
Money though, right?
Yeah. Worked for a company called ResMed. So if anybody's familiar with CPAP equipment, masks, all that stuff, I managed about a $25 million a year territory in the state of Missouri. Made it, really good money. Got promoted into a pretty awesome role at the age of 26. So I made $200,000 my first full year in that role, and thought I obviously was never going to leave. And then kind of got an inkling to get into entrepreneurship back in 2018 because I was so sick and tired of the environment that corporate America was. And I was like, there's always a hidden something behind the door, whether it's a cap or something like that.
There was somebody that I knew that did medical sales, and they walked away from it too. But I think it was mainly because I think they said that they were just, was it traveling a lot, and there was a long days, long hours. Like, were you doing like presentations and stuff, and like trying to sell the equipment, saying, "Hey, this is why you need this" or whatever. And they walked away from lots of money because they just wanted more, balance, I guess.
Yeah, so I was in sleep labs at night, and then I would wake up like literally the next morning and then have to go to the doctor's offices in the durable medical equipment company. So it was just really long hours. And then for 75% of the month, I was gone essentially Monday to Thursday night. So I was like, all right, especially when I was just getting ready to get married to my wife, I was like, this isn't going to be sustainable. So in 2018, I was literally sitting in a hotel room, just super frustrated with being on the road. And I literally went, how do I make money online? So I saw some Amazon stores, which I know we were talking about before this. I saw eBay reselling, just all these different types of methodologies to basically make money online. And I got retargeted by an ad that taught me how to build digital real estate in the form of digital marketing. So essentially taught you how to build these websites, rank these websites to the first page of Google, and then essentially sell leads in some sort of fashion. Yeah. So I got into that in 2018. From 2018 to 2020, so almost 2 years, I built 200 websites on my own, just kind of throwing crap against the wall, figuring out what worked for SEO, what didn't, and had a lot of good case studies, had a lot of these websites that were generating a little bit of money, but I was trying to sell these websites on the side in medical device sales. It just wasn't possible. So COVID ended up happening. And it went from me traveling all over the country to being cooped up, in my home. And over 6 weeks, I literally just focused on the side hustle, and it started generating money. And I'm like, okay, if there's now ever a time I can do this, we just bought our forever dream home, which probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. But I'm like, all right, we got the home under the belt, marriage, and now we start the business.
Well, if you're going to do it, it's the best time to do it after, because then you're on this, 5-year journey before you qualify to buy a home. I mean, 2 years for the bank standard, but by the time you can actually make enough money and net profit and qualify to show earned income, like self-employed income, like, dude, it takes like 4 or 5 years to buy a house when you become a business owner, dude.
Yeah, it's not fun. They want to see, well, P&L for this and this and this. And it's like, especially when your name's on like 8 different entities, you're like, dude, it's like,
I'm getting PTSD, Trev, stop.
Yeah, okay. Anyways.
No, so then I went full time with it after the end of our fiscal year. So I essentially put my 2 weeks in, and my boss, everybody that I was working with was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you literally are the youngest guy here in this role by almost a decade. Like, this doesn't make sense. And
they thought you'd regret it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so there was, obviously a point in time when I thought I was going to have to go back to medical device sales, because I essentially went out on my own. I started building the business. I joined Apex 6 weeks after I went full time into this, because I had been following people like Adam McChesney and a couple other people that were in the Sales Talk with Sales Pros group, and they were all talking about Apex. I'm like, I'm the type of person where I always see a couple plays ahead, and I'm like, there's clearly a success leaves clues, mechanism here. So I joined Apex. Got into entrepreneurs, didn't even just join the basic group, because I'm like, I need to be around people and I need to
immerse yourself
information and education. So I did that. And then the Build Your Machine kind of took off. And I was building it obviously in the digital marketing side of things. So the first 9 months, I didn't take a paycheck because I was just reinvesting everything back in the business. Tried to hire teams and things like that, can never do it. So I just ended up doing all the work myself and got really bogged down and was like, all right, this is kind of stupid. I just created a job for myself. This isn't fun. I thought I wanted to be behind the computer building all the websites that I had just built, over the last couple of years. But I realized in business, I was more of just the visionary, a little bit of a sales guy, obviously, and ended up merging on with Height Digital as a franchisee, because they kind of offered a lot of the same stuff that I was struggling with, which is fulfillment, hiring and firing, account management, processes and systems. Like, I had none of that in my business. So I did that back in April of 2021, and then did that for 2 years, and grew from about 30,000 a month to, we did 1.75 million last year, on pace to do about 2.25 this year. So scaled really quickly, had 9 full-time team members, and then just merged as a partner of all of Height earlier this month. So,
dude, it's amazing.
Well, like, maybe I've just been in the game too long. When people say, because you said that, yeah, I've been scaling. I'm like, oh, so you've been dealing with just problem after problem after problem, right? Like, that's really what it is. But the outside world just doesn't fully understand what that word means. It sounds cool to the average human that says, yeah, I'm scaling a business. Like, oh man, I'd love to scale a business. No, you wouldn't. It's tough. It really, really is. And so it's cool to see what you've done in a very short period of time. But that also means that you've been punched in the face a lot in a short period of time, trying to make a big change from sales to going to start your own marketing company to then scaling it within, 3 years or whatever it's been, right? To do a couple $1 million. So, I mean, talk about, because we were prior to getting on the podcast, we were talking about, shifting, I guess, maybe your identity and shifting your roles within the business and how difficult that could be. Because I have a feeling that a lot of people that do listen are, holding on to the role that they've maybe had for years and years and years, and they're not necessarily making the tough adjustments that they need to make in their business by bringing people in. We were talking about, people reaching out to him directly, like, hey man, what's going on with this account or whatever. And he's like, I don't know. Like, I have, like, what's the point?
Yeah, let me get my team on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And like, we dealt with that, right? Like, no, I want to talk to you. And it's like, well, we have like a sales team that can give you a quote that knows it better than us because they do it every day, right?
Still deal with it, but now it's like, well, dude, send me your number and I'll have the team reach out right away.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just leave it at that. Because before, when you would say stuff like, well, let me look into it, you're just opening this can of worms, right? You're like, dude, you're not going to give them the best experience. It's just better to have your team handle it. But yeah, people
I just started being like, drop your name and number. Yeah. And then after they do, I'll have somebody from the team reach out, right? And do it that way. But still, it's a tough transition when you're used to being the name and the face and you want everything to go perfect for people, because they know that you're, behind the business to a certain extent, and being able to relieve yourself of, forward facing on the calls plus doing the fulfillment and making all those transitions is tough. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. And they create a ceiling financially for themselves. And they are the bottleneck in their business. Right. Do you think that being a part of, masterminds or, entrepreneur groups was helpful in that regard to make you kind of see a bigger picture, to where you knew that was something that you had to do so that you didn't make the mistake of kind of being a one-man band for longer than you needed to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, and hiring a business coach, and I also hire, a life and mindset coach as well to help me see the speed bumps along the way and be like, hey, there's a blind spot here. You need to slow down here and do all that stuff. For me, I think the biggest struggle was that identity of really wrapping myself as the company. So, I brand myself now. This is my, Adam McChesney logo that's completely separate from Height, because when I do these things, I don't want people just to think that I am the business. And I struggled for a very long time, because what got me to that first $1 million in business was the customer service, was everything that I was physically doing. Well, in order for me to go scale my business to that next 7 figures, it was going to take a lot more than just me to be able to do that. And selfishly, I had to sit there for myself and say, Adam, this is what you need to do. Yes, you're going to upset some people along the way. People are going to be frustrated, but those probably aren't the right clients for you. And so I had to go through that identity of, I was really just taking business because I was in some of those communities and people were like, Adam, we want to work with you, but we want to work with you and not your team. I'm like, but my team is doing way better. Like, a lot of these things, I'm not that great. Like, I'm really not that great.
To me, what that says is that exposes where they're at in business level wise.
Yes.
Right? Because if they're at a certain level in business, they understand that there's, you build a business, right? The idea is to be a business owner and not be self-employed, right? And give yourself a job forever, right?
That's a good point. And then also at the level you're at, right? Because for a period of time, and it's like anything, there's so much beauty to it as well. But like, you just say, yeah, bring it on. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to people please you. I'm going to do what you ask. I'm going to do all this stuff. And like, you really do just have to go through it to learn it, man. Like, even if you get some good advice or you get some coaching on like not doing that, there's still a period of time you just have to go through it.
Where you do it and justify it for a minute until it becomes like a headache, right? And then you're just like, the pain of doing this and remaining in this situation is too great. I would rather go through the pain of having a couple people whine and complain and make those adjustments and bring on the right people, right, in terms of clients or whatever.
Yeah, and I think there was that spot, like looking back on it, because I've been doing a lot of analysis, especially just as we merged, of like the mistakes and things that I did along the way. Is I always from an early going, like envisioned myself as being the owner of a 7-figure digital marketing company. Well, once I got there, and this was even when I was doing $10,000 a month, but even when I got there, I was still only in that mindset, right? So I was making the decisions of taking on projects and working with people that I probably shouldn't have been working with at that time. My mind never leveled up to like that next level. And so there was that equilibrium of the company was outgrowing me, and that's never a good place to be. I should have been thinking about taking on the right people, hiring the team, doing all of those processes and systems at that level for the next level. Yep. But I was so focused on, man, I'm still not taking home as much money as I want to be, because I was reinvesting so much back into the company that it was kind of that identity crisis of like, hey, you really need to be thinking about what that next level looks like. And you did that for so long, but now you're not getting to that next level.
Yeah. Did you realize too, when you hit your million, that you're like, dude, I'm not even taking home as much as I was as a medical sales rep?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, like there was obviously that aspect of it, but I think, it kind of goes back to where so many people are focused on a revenue goal, right?
Yeah.
And they say, when I hit 1 million, everything is going to be better. I'm going to make more money. My problems are going to be, my financial problems are going to go away. Problems in the business are going to go away. I'm going to be able to hire more people. Once you get there, it's nothing's truly different. There's just more problems. There's more headaches. There's higher level things that you have to do. And and if you're focused on that revenue number, you have to think about other things that is actually around, your purpose, your why, all those things. And I didn't have those until after I got to 1 million. My purpose was, hey, I'm just going to get this to 1 million, because that's what most people struggle to do with a digital marketing company. And I was able to do it in 15 months. Everything's going to be fine after that, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find out the truth real quick.
Yeah.
And you're just like looking around, you're like, okay, why do I still have these problems?
Yeah.
1 million was supposed to solve it,
But it is amazing what you can accomplish in like 3 years, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it is. It's a battle, and it's there's a lot of gifts that come along with it, but it is like it's like a magical 3-year number, man. Like anytime we've imploded things, started new things, it's like it seems like our most momentum years are like right after that 3rd year, and it's just like, whoa. And then you do start delegating more, and you do start getting your time back, and you get your freedom back, and it's like people really do underestimate how much you can accomplish in 3 years, so
No doubt.
And it's cool to see you at that 3-year mark, man. I see you posting on big stages, getting speaking gigs, more attention on the business, got a team behind you, and it's like, it's getting good now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's doing it right, which is really, really cool for, where you're at in terms of years in business, right? Usually it would take somebody, 10 years to do what you've done in, 3 years. So it's, kudos to you, especially the fact, joining masterminds and being around people within 6 weeks of like saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I need to start investing into information and community and people, because this is something that I really, really want to make work. If you're not willing to invest into, information, education, being around other people that have also, been successful, and you're not rubbing shoulders with people, how bad do you really want it? Because it is uncomfortable to make that investment, especially as a new business owner, to cut a check to say, yeah, I'm committing to whatever, $1,000 a month in this situation is something that 99.9% of people won't do. But that's also why 99.9% of people won't reach what the average person would take 10 years to accomplish, and you doing it in 3 years. You collapse time by investing into yourself and the information, the knowledge that you're taking in, and the people that you surround yourself with. And that's invaluable right there, because I mean, it's literally black. And anybody that joins groups or invests in different, they're taking their business a little more seriously than anybody else. Everybody else is living on a hope and a prayer. They show up to their business again the very following day, hoping that something new will happen. When it just won't happen, because you're showing up in the exact same way that you showed up last week, last month, last year. My guess is you're listening to the same music as you drive into work, wearing the exact same clothes, driving the exact, everything's the same until you actually throw yourself a curveball and do new information. Nothing new will come out of you, right? And so I think that was an amazing thing that you saw within a short period of time that you knew was needed. And I think that was probably a big help that expedited it. Actually, we talked about that, right? Oh, yeah. You joined groups and people started like doing business with you, and you're doing way better than most marketing companies in a much shorter period of time. You said some are not even going to do $1 million a year, probably 5 years into owning a marketing company, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I guess let's ask that. How much would you credit, your current success being on stages, now multiple 7 figures, owning a bigger chunk of now a marketing franchise company? Like the momentum is in your favor at this point, and how much credit would you give to investing into yourself?
I mean, I've worked hard, but I would say, probably 90% of doing that, because as you mentioned, people can do this in 5 to 10 years. Yeah. It's no different. But I'm the type of guy, when I saw it, I felt like I had this window, especially after COVID, where people were getting all these checks to put money into marketing and advertising and all those different things, that, hey, I can make this work. And I was coming up on my 30s. I'm like, I want to be successful. I want to do all these things. For me, it was absolutely that, is how do I condense time and get information that would have taken me years, or heartaches or lessons, obviously, along the way, that I didn't want to have to go down if I could learn it from somebody else. So I'd say probably 90+% of just being in the right place at the right time, and also investing in myself and getting around the people that have already been where I want to go. So I think that was the other thing is there's a lot of people in the digital marketing space that are just joining masterminds to join marketing masterminds to all learn some new tip or trick or strategy on how to like resell something else. I am a digital marketer, but I'm a serial entrepreneur first and foremost. Like business is business about 80% of the time, right? So I wanted to get in rooms with people that were doing things of where I want to go, not just like, how do I get my digital marketing company from here to here? I wanted to do bigger and better things, which is speak on stages, start a podcast, do all these things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was just trying to go copy what somebody else was doing and paying to do that.
Building your personal brand right along with your company.
Yeah.
And it does. It accelerates that, it does. People are doing it and not even realizing it when they've been in the right environment.
I probably should post more on Facebook, but your Facebook, you do an amazing job.
Appreciate that.
With your posts, people love it. They engage with it. And so obviously you've been very, very consistent with that. And really, let's be honest, that's really what anything comes down to. Like if you want a result from it, invest time, money, or energy into that, whether that's just the energy of making a post consistently, invest money into something consistently, so like nothing will flourish without time, money, or energy. One of those, and the more of those that you throw at it, the more it has the ability to flourish, right? You've invested into your personal brand by starting a podcast. So that's money. You invest time, you invest energy, you invest all 3 of those into your personal brand, which ultimately affects your business in a positive way, right? How many other entrepreneurs that exist that invest time, money, and energy into making posts every single day, making content every single day, starting a pod like that? That's all where we come from is kind of normal in terms of like entrepreneur groups and being around. Like it doesn't seem that unique when you go to like meetups. Everyone's like, hey, you want to be a guest on my podcast? Yeah, we'll do a swap. It's just kind of what everybody's doing. And so sometimes you feel like, I'm just one of, a million people, but The average business owner isn't doing any of that. It's just the circles that we run in that makes it feel like it's just normal. When it's completely just not normal at all to do, but you're doing it and you're doing it at a high level and you're doing it well. And I think that, that contributes to, hopping on stages and doing some of the other stuff, like one thing leading to another that leads to another. And you've definitely done it at a high level for 3 years in business, right? So what would you say that is one of the biggest misconceptions with SEO, right? We were talking about that prior to come on. We tried it. We didn't have a whole lot of success with it, but there are certain industries that are very difficult. We were trying to go nationwide with it, and you're competing against, Big Four accounting with that billions of dollars and, all of that. A lot of accounting companies.
It is a tough niche, but we do still get leads to this day from our SEO. It's just not been focused on it in a long time because it was just such a long-term thing, and we got ripped off so much, dude. Got ripped off so much. And so you hear these things. You hear these things like SEO's dead. It's not dead, right? But I'm interested. I was thinking the same question. I wanted to hear your take on that because I know that's one of your services is SEO and the value that's still there. And then, dude, you're the type of guy where you can see that you take it very seriously. You analyze, like you said, and to start the podcast, you're thinking 2 steps ahead all the time. I'm like that as well. So like, do you think like Web3 and all this shit is like going to crush the SEO market, or is it going to help it? Like, what are some of your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
Let me add one.
Yeah. And then 3 more questions.
Well, look, get a pen and paper, bro.
Educate us though.
But also at the exact same time, like, you've probably ran into a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I've been burned by this guy or that or whatever. And so it's like you're constantly having to earn trust. Like, no, this SEO isn't that here. You just work with a bad company. Here's how we do it. And that's why, there's people that, have high authority that only trust to send you business because they're like, dude, like we can't send it anywhere else because there's just a bunch of jokers in the marketing game. And so, we only send it to people we trust and they send it to you,
Yeah, I think the biggest thing comes down to, one, who you're working with. Like Height before was a white label company for 300 plus marketing agencies. So there were 300 plus marketing agencies in the United States that were literally just white labeling Height stuff and then putting their name on it. But they were selling, hey, we'll get you to the first page of Google to the company in 60 or 90 days or whatever, when it's like Height never said those as were the expectations.
Yeah.
It's usually always broken down at the ownership level or the sales process of what is being sold. So that goes back to who you're working with, right? So somebody is always going to say, hey, you can get this done in 3 to 6 months and all these different things. That's like a blanketed answer. And some people will say 6 to 12 months. But there's so many different variables that go into that question of how long is it going to take. And until you get under the hood of a website and do a typical audit and all those things, you're never going to know. So somebody's going to say 3 to 6 months. Somebody's going to hear that and be like, wow, that's awesome. And then they're going to jump onto that because they typically have heard that SEO might take longer and all those things. So the expectations in the sales process of working with a marketing company is usually where the expectations fail what's actually possible. And so that goes into time of length of how long you're going to do the services, but then also who you're working with. And more importantly, what does the deliverables actually look like? Because SEO is a blanketed thing. Oh, I do SEO. Okay, well, there's 17,000 different ways you can do SEO. Most people's deliverables are super bare bones because they know that the companies that they're working with have no true way to audit what they're doing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of companies out there that are just doing some surface level stuff, and they're charging the same as somebody else down the street, or they might be charging less, and they're getting away with it, right? And so what I tell people to really look for in a company that they're looking for, whether it's us or whether it's somebody else, is one, what do those strategies look like and what are those deliverables? So we give everybody a work log of what is actually being done on a given month. Now, nobody's ever going to know all the stuff and the reason behind, but at least you know it's being done. Two, I always tell people to ask for results, like real-time results. So we have a database with all 700 clients in every single industry that we're in. We don't have any accounting clients. So I couldn't come to you guys and be like, hey, Trevor and Kale, look at the results here. Yeah. But we have a lot of roofing companies, HVAC, plumbers, those types of local businesses that I can go show you in real time. Here's what we're doing in a similar market to you. So that's the second thing I always ask for. And three is, are they practicing literally what they preach? So if you go and type in digital marketing St. Louis, which is the main keyword that we were trying to rank for, we're on the first page of Google. We did that in literally less than 2 years. We have 50 plus 5-star reviews on Google. There's companies in St. Louis that don't have anywhere near that, and they've been in business for 10 or 15 years. And then I also started 2 companies out of those initial 200 websites that I built that literally I was telling Trevor before, like, I don't know anything about auto glass repair. I know nothing about landscape design, but I literally have companies that started and have flourished off of just SEO. They were just super simple, stupid websites that I built back in the day that we were able to turn into companies. Most marketing companies aren't able to say most of those, especially not all 3.
So you have to pretty much do an audit.
Yeah.
And say like, hey, this is, dude, you have 0 backlinks or, whatever. You might be a 2-year build or something. Just, I guess, maybe depending on the industry, because it seems like, people in the trades, if you own a business in the trades, it seems like you can turn that around very quickly in terms of getting leads and ranking and, all of that. As long as the cities, 200,000 people, 1 million people, I'm sure you have all your metrics in terms of competition and all that, and then really assessing that way, right?
Yeah, so exactly. So like when somebody says 6 to 12 months because you're a roofing company, it's like, well, are you a roofing company in Dallas, Texas, which is the most competitive industry, or are we, in Columbia, Missouri, or St. George? It really depends on obviously the industry, the location in terms of the amount of people that are living in that city, the competitors, but the also other thing that people don't think about is, has SEO been done on the website before? So the biggest factor that you can't control with SEO is the time that the website domain has been live. So that's why you'll see some of these old websites that have just been consistently ranking on the first page of Google because they launched their domain and have some SEO done on it in the early 2000s. Like, you can't speed up time with Google. So if you've been having backlinks done on your website, if you've done things with citations, there's a lot of things that if you have done that stuff, it's going to be easier for us to turn around that website quicker than if you have all those things or don't have all those things and you're comparable apples to apples with somebody that has been doing SEO a very long time. It's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. What do you think about like publications?
So
what the SEO for you're talking like the the stuff that we're taught, Forbes. Medium and Entrepreneur.
So super impactful. The one thing that people get wrong with that is there's what is referred as anchor text. So anchor text is what the hyperlink says on that URL. So if it says, hey, it's going to go back to easieraccounting.com or whatever the URL ends up being, if you can somehow get them to write the keyword that you're trying to rank for, so best accounting firm in the United States, that'll actually have you ranking for that specific keyword, but they typically don't, cater to that. Yeah. So we typically tend to build out the backlinks for our clients. So then that way it's industry specific and also keyword ranking specific. So we can kind of depict and play that game, but they're super beneficial to have those. It's just, if you can somehow get that anchor text to say the keyword you want to rank for, it's going to have a lot more authority.
So what would you say the biggest misconception is with SEO?
So I think that it's a one-time thing. So people are like, hey, can you just fix the SEO on my website? SEO is comprised of 2 different things. So there's the foundation of your website that takes into account the platform in which the website's built on. So a lot of people come to us with DIY websites on Wix.
What's the shittiest one?
Wix and GoDaddy are like back and forth as whoever's the shittiest at that time. But
they're just fighting for the bottom
spot. They're the discount stores.
They're the discount stores.
Okay.
And so
a bigger custom website is obviously going to serve somebody if that's what they're trying to do.
WordPress is the gold standard when it comes to SEO capabilities, not a custom coded. Like, we still see a lot of custom coded websites. It's super difficult to change those things, add content, all those things. So the website builder platform in which it's on, we typically recommend WordPress, or there's a platform called Duda. That's a pretty solid one. That plays a key factor into what we have to change initially, right? So on the back end of the website, there's things like title tags and descriptions, basically what you're telling Google you're trying to rank for. That's the foundational on-site SEO that, yes, there's things that you're going to do one time to fix the website and make sure it's up to par. But the on-site stuff, which is like adding content. So we were talking about trying to rank for accounting all across the United States. You have to go to every single city and have a page for accounting in every single sub keyword on your website in order to do that. So adding things like blogs, location pages, service pages, in addition to backlinks, stuff with the Google business listing, that's your offsite SEO. And some of the ongoing things that you have to consistently do, no different than going to the gym. I tell people when you sign up for SEO, there's two different things that happen. That's like going to the gym. Your on-site SEO is where you literally sign up and you're like, hey, I'm going to go lose weight this year. I'm paying for the gym membership. That's your on-site stuff. We're going to fix that one time. But then in order to actually lose the weight, do all those different things and take advantage of it, that's where you show up every single day. You're on a structured plan. You're hiring a personal trainer, things like that.
Yeah. We were actually on WordPress, switched to Duda, and there is pros and cons to both. Like there's so many plugins with WordPress, and it's like if one of them just goes away, you can fuck your whole site up. And that happened to us, you know? And then, so we switched to Duda, but then there was like things that Duda doesn't do that WordPress will do. You know, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was like
so those two
something to do with like a certain audience or something that we were trying to do. It was like, damn, it doesn't do it, man. Or
those two need to have a child.
Yeah.
So the WordPress Duda child.
The Duda stuff is like if you're going to manage it in-house and not have to worry about on all those plugins and all those updates, it's going to get you the same types of capabilities 99% of the time that WordPress has. WordPress just has a little bit more SEO functionality in terms of some of the plugins that are available, but those are also the things that can go down. And if it goes down, it doesn't really matter what you have on there, because if it's down, it doesn't do any good.
Corey will love talking to Adam.
I know.
Have you guys had a call?
We not. It's been a while, but
he's talked to Corey. I said, you know, he's like, so like the continued maintenance side of it, or you know, showing up consistently, right? Like we already talked about that earlier, how important it is to be consistent to see success. Is that because you just want to make sure that you're always staying ahead of your competition? Is that because the algorithm changes that happen with Google? Like what's, you know, why can't somebody spend a bunch of money and attack it for like a year and then sit back and have a, you know, million backlinks? Is it because of Google's algorithm really is constantly shifting? So you guys have to, you know, kind of be on the lookout, know what Google's doing, and then like adjust?
So Google will have a massive update, you know, either multiple times a year, every other year, where it does throw off those things, right? So it's important to consistently be doing it for that reason, but more importantly than the algorithm is to stay ahead of the competition.
Gotcha.
So when we do that initial audit, which is why it's so important, like we'll do a 4 to 5 minute video audit for somebody that's interested in doing business with us. We're analyzing usually their top 3 to 5 competitors. Okay. So we need to see where they're at in terms of where they're at in that gym process versus their competitors. Yeah. Are we going up with ultra marathon runners and bodybuilders, or are we going up against, you know, people that maybe are a couple months into
tweaker?
Yeah, into the gym, right? So that is more important than anything. And then we can do a content and gap analysis to say, hey, based on what we're seeing here, this is what SEO plan you need to be on. Because a lot of companies will just have like one SEO plan and they don't necessarily have multiple options. Well, if somebody does want to invest more money and they're also in a super competitive market, they want to know, based on research and all this data, what it might take in order to really see massive return on investment.
They'd rather spend $2 and get a result than $1 and still just fizzle.
Because that's the other problem is there is these companies are setting them up on SEO plans that are setting them up to fail, right? They're saying, hey, it's going to take 6 to 12 months. Well, it's like, okay, it's going to take 3 years doing a couple pieces of content, writing 2 blogs a month and very few backlinks. It's not going to be the same as if you're doing it consistently and you're trying to get to that first page of Google, going against up against some pretty stiff competition.
I mean, basically, it's just how the universe works, dude. Yeah. If you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. If you're not pursuing, you're retracting. If you're not on offense, you're on defense. You know, it's just, if you're not being proactive, then you're being reactive. Like if it's something that you want to win, dude, like you just got to be on top of it.
Time, money, and energy up in that bitch.
It's got to be a commitment, you know, of something that you're just committed to from once you start to finish. And as long as you got a good company behind you, it's not like all the other companies that are, you know, scamming people or just taking advantage. It's like, you know, dude, why would you ever want to do it? We actually have a client that's an SEO guy, and he's like, dude, I got 10 clients, bro. And he's making a few $100,000 a year. He doesn't want any more than that.
Yeah.
But he's got results for all of them. He wanted to get our business, right? He didn't know we have a guy in house, but like, he like walked me through like almost all of his clients, cause he only has 10, but like pool development companies and things like that. And he had a pretty awesome system. And he's like, yeah, I get this guy. He gets 80 phone calls a day on average. Right. And he's like, you know, he's like, this guy gets this many leads a day. Like he can't keep up. Like, you know, but the second it goes away, or they fire him or whatever, it's like, dude, it dies. It starts dying. And so just like anything in the world, man, it's like it has to have constant commitment, consistent.
You can't love a child for like 2 years and hope that they grow up to be an amazing adult.
Yeah.
And live a wonderful life.
Yeah, your children are not your retirement plan because you gave them 5 years of
5 good
wisdom.
years, your 5 best, you know, and then said, good luck, pal. Let me ask you this. Because I just thought of a question. In regards to like an audit, when you're looking at all of these other websites, like let's say competitors' websites, are you able to see like data such as how much they are growing in terms of their SEO? Like, hey, last year at this time they had X amount of backlinks, and this year at this time they have 1,000 more or 10,000 more, to where you kind of know the rate of growth that you're going against in terms of, you know, hey, your competition's growing at this rate. This is the package you need if you want to, you know, beat out your competition.
Yeah, so you can literally see all that. Okay. So there's third-party tools, and it's never going to tell the full story of everything, but it'll tell you how many backlinks that somebody has. It'll tell you on average how many keywords they're ranking for, what keywords those keywords actually are, and then where they're ranking in the process. And then based on those two numbers, about how much organic traffic that they're getting. So you're able to give, you know, high level, hey, here's what they've been doing, and here's how long they've been doing it, and here's how long it might take you in order to, you know, even compete with that.
That's cool. Data wins, right?
Yeah.
Like when you have the data, you have ammunition in order to like make a move.
Is Google Analytics the best, or is it like
Google Search Console? Google Search Console. Yeah. So Google Analytics won't tell you anything that Search Console won't. Search Console kind of brings all of that stuff in together. But if we don't have access to that, SEMrush is what we use to be able to have all the competitor stuff, as well as our clients, our potential client stuff. Yeah.
What does your average day look like?
Man, it's a great question. So it's changed a lot recently. Yeah. So my project right now, my title within the company is VP of Growth. So what we're doing right now is we're setting the foundation for our first sales department. Okay. But a lot of that is still based on me doing a ton of content. So typically every single, like I try to do 5 podcasts a week. As far as me being a guest on that, I produce a lot of content. I wake up though about 4:30 in the morning every single day, work out, do my morning routine, get into the office around 8 o'clock. And then from there,
how long have you had that routine of 4:30?
So consistently for 2 years. But I started trying to do some of that stuff about 3 years ago, but it wasn't up till I did 75 hard back at the beginning of 2021 that really started to take off.
So was that around the time that you joined mastermind groups that you actually dialed in a routine?
Yeah. That was pretty much, I didn't have a routine for like I didn't have anything for like 6 weeks. I was literally just like sitting in my pool, chilling, hanging out. I'm like, this is the life of an entrepreneur now. And then I realized like, okay, I need some direction because I don't know what I'm doing.
I need structure. Nobody's giving it to me because I'm not an employee anymore. So I've got to do this myself.
Yes. Yeah. But other than that, like right now I'm meeting with a lot of our team just to kind of connect the dots, because it has been, you know, we were a franchise, and from there it was the franchise and then the fulfillment center as 2 separate companies. Now with our franchise, we're merging it all in together as one. So I was meeting with my team. I was pretty much outside of the day-to-day of the business, which up until a couple months ago, I was doing a lot of the sales. So even though we had a girl doing sales as well, we were having so many sales calls that we just couldn't hire anybody else. I basically wanted to stronghold that still for whatever reason, because I thought nobody could do it better. And then once I completely stepped away over the last 3 months, we've never sold more. And
I was going to say, did she do it better?
Yeah, way better. Yeah. And I don't know like any of the clients now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So it has really helped me understand that I've been the bottleneck at every stage in our business, right?
It's easy to say that with hindsight, but when you're in the middle of it, you're like, no, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Nobody can do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you 4:30 and then you go to work at 8? Like what the hell are you doing from 4:30 to 8?
So work out for about an hour. Then I do the sauna for 20 minutes. So I do that at the gym, meditation for 10 minutes, read, and then I read what I refer to as a champion's legacy. So I heard that from Mike Claudio's group, which is I read my purpose and my commitment in life. I read I am statements, I will statements, I will not statements, and then just read my core values. And then that's the last thing I'll do before I get everything ready and head to the office.
That's quite the load.
It is.
Yeah. And you've been doing that consistently for like 2 years now?
So the waking up at 4:30 for 2 years, I've added in the meditation and the I am statements as of January of this past year.
It's funny how it works, because when you make a commitment to start, creating structure for your life so that you can kind of control how you show up in the world a little bit more, right? Instead of having extreme ups and downs, if you kind of live somewhat of the same day each day, you're controlling your state more than somebody that's just waking up praying that they have a good day. The funny thing about it is when you start doing one thing that's positive and you do it for a period of time, you try to figure out what else you can add, and you slowly become more and more open-minded to like different shit, whether it's like I am state. Like if somebody told you to do the I am statements like 5 years ago, you might have been like, that's the weird shit. Like I'm not going to do that. Right. But it's always looking for the next thing that you could add to make you that much better. Right. So you did 75 hard, and that gave you a foundation of like, I need structure, and then you've done that ever since?
Yeah, so that was an eye-opening experience for me to realize, I was 6 months into entrepreneurship when I first started that, and I thought like I had it all figured out, right? I started to see some wins.
6 months in, you thought you had it figured out?
Of course, right?
Yeah, wow.
And I was like, all right, maybe not all figured out, obviously, right? But like, hey.
You were feeling yourself.
I was feeling myself, right? Yeah. And then I do that, and I realized like how small I was playing and how limiting from a self standpoint that I had been, because I played college soccer and I hadn't consistently been back in the gym in almost a decade. Everything just kind of came super easy for me, and entrepreneurship started to feel that way. And then I, compounding 75 hard with, really being into a mastermind and hiring a business coach almost at a year at that point. By the time it had ended, I realized that, man, dude, you are so far from having anything figured out. And it really set me up to understand that the reason why I loved sales so much is because I loved soccer and playing college sports or playing sports my entire life so much. I need to turn my personal development into what I used to get, that adrenaline, that energy that I used to get from playing sports. I needed to have those competitions. I needed to have those things, those non-negotiables with myself in order to be successful in business, because up until that point, I was kind of just working crazy long hours. I had no structure, and I felt like I was doing a lot, but I was really doing nothing at all.
Yeah. Well, I think that you just saw a new level of yourself, and you were able to measure that level of self against the old. And you're like, oh man, like it always feels, I think, we can all relate. It always feels like we give ourselves credit that we're doing enough. And then when you take on a challenge or do something, you're like, I wasn't doing shit, right? There's another version of you that's always sitting there waiting for you, on the other side of work. And I loved how you brought up, being an athlete, because, when I hit a low point, I was like, what was I doing when I felt best? I was like, what did I like doing as a kid? Riding bikes, playing sports, this, that, the other. And in reality, when you're playing sports, you're training and you're practicing far more than you're actually playing in the game. Right. And so I started like thinking about it. I'm like, I really missed like the practices, the training, the working hard, the process that it took to create the result. Really. And so I said, well, why can't I still try to train like an athlete? Like if I really just enjoyed the process, why can't I show up for myself every single day and work out twice a day and move my body twice a day and hold myself to a standard that would be an athletic standard, even though, I don't got a snowball's chance in hell, at pushing 40 to ever become an athlete. But when you realize that, the happiness is in the progress of it. And I used to bitch and whine and moan about going to practice. I thought that was the worst part of it and couldn't wait for the game when I was a kid. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, well, the magic was in the practice, showing up every single day and grinding. And you only were able to show that result, once a week on a baseball game or whatever it is, right? And so, I think more people need to understand really where the magic lies. And it really is in the process, not necessarily the result, because even when you get the result, you're going to want the process, right? Mm-hmm. Even when we started making a ton of money for all of the efforts that we put in for, a decade plus, the result was there, but I was still at a low spot because it's all really about, progress. And, we could look back at some of the fun times that we had just talking shit in an office, trying to build something when we were making $100,000 a year, laughing and having a good time. It was those times that really made it fun. And then when we got to a result, like bigger problems, bigger issues, right? That's just what it is. And that's why we brought in bigger people. We're like, you can deal with the bigger issues and the bigger problems. Let's try to go back to having fun, Yeah.
So, well, I think one of the things that I realized recently is I was literally like, what does my day look like now? Because I had started to bring in more people to my team and I had started to work like on the business truly over the last 6 months. And I felt useless. But and I wrote this in RBO the other day, I just followed the game plan over the last year. We barely did 2% in profit last year up until this point in time, year over year. This year, we followed the game plan, and we followed the game plan after I realized it was bad last year. We're up at the 13% profit margins. I'm not in the business. I'm literally working on the business, but I felt like I needed to be doing more. But I had just preemptively worked myself out of a job, which is what I signed up to do. But there was something about me feeling like I had to be doing these things in the business in order to feel like I was a part of something. Yep. And I realized I was actually just doing all the things I didn't need to be doing, and I had created something that was just another job. But now I was able to take a look and step back and be like, wow, this is what I had envisioned. This is the game plan. And it just involved me not being physically doing all the labor.
Right. There is a balance that has to be become aware of, right? I agree that you're never going to have perfect balance, but I have also seen myself delegate so much to where you almost get lazy on the business, and then you're so focused on yourself. And then when you're like, oh shit, now the business is slipping, you come back into the business and you're like, I don't even know how this shit's working anymore, right? So then you have to ingrain yourself back into that. And so you do have to find some balance of working on the business, especially if you're the visionary of the company. It's you kind of need to know what's going on all the time, and you still need to be able to keep thinking a couple steps ahead, like we talked about when you started. And it's because really no one's going to care more than you. You know what I mean? So, you kind of do this weird flip-flop before you kind of start finding that clarity of the middle, right? Is it perfect balance, 60-40, 50-50? Probably not. But there has to be a constant updated plan by you. If you're the pulse of your company, you do have to be able to write that game plan. You've got to be able to say, hey, something's not working. We got to fix it. And you got to stay involved enough to see that, to see those steps ahead, because I've noticed that, man. I've noticed when I've delegated so much, dude, I built all of our sales KPIs, basically the DPL reports and, all these things. And then Tyler and Kaysen took it and made it better and evolved it, and, affiliate reports and making sure payments go out and all these things. Right. And it's now that we're restructuring things, I'm dude, I actually don't even know how that works anymore. And part of that's cool, but part of that's bad. Right. I've got to be able to go in there now and be okay, we got to run a new game plan, so, just to kind of bring it full circle from everything we talked about, right? There's a period where you got to be careful, where you don't step away completely. unless you're going to exit the company.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, some shit can start slipping. Right. So if you're all in on you, which, you need to go through that, the business is probably going to start slipping. If you're all in on the business, you are probably going to start slipping, so I see that now.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've done that flip flop.
Well, you see many people that are out of shape or miserable, but they're rich. That they went all in on their business, but everything else is just kind of dwindled, or their relationships, their, physical body, all of that starts just kind of going out the window, but they're rich. I mean, I guess they can buy a new lady or something, you always see those, 60-year-olds or something with like the 25-year-olds. I'm like,
Hearing your routine though, I think you're doing great, bro. Like you're doing all your stuff in the morning from 4 to 8 a.m. until you're at the office, and you're all in on the business for, and dude, it really doesn't have to be 8-hour days, bro. If you're getting there with the team for a few hours a day, and then you're crushing it at home with the family, like, dude, that's a great system.
That's a great
right?
life. Yeah.
But if you're crushing it your first couple hours in the morning, even at business 8 hours a day right now, that's okay too, as long as you're leaving some in the tank for the family when you get home. But
leave some meat on the bone.
Yeah,
literally.
I think it sounds like you're doing great, man.
Yeah. I'm trying. I learned from you guys. I learned from the people that I have consumed content with and know where success is at and where I want to be. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Wow. Dude, thanks for coming out. How do people connect with you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah.
Talk about, business or getting an audit done, for their SEO.
On your speaking and gigs you've been doing lately, how do you close your speaking gig, dude? Do you run them to a table in the back? Yeah. Let's hear it right now to close out the episode.
So I mean, to be honest, to be honest, I've just been going and finding opportunities locally to speak at events, which have then turned into opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so I started doing them locally, started just doing the free stuff and things like that, and I started to put together content and kind of manifesting it out to the world of hey, I want to be doing more speaking events. I'm doing these speaking events. Here's the things that I can be talking about. And then I turned each other opportunity that I got into another opportunity. So everybody that throws events knows other people that throw events. Yeah. And I've just been doing networking no differently than I was trying to do networking to grow the marketing company in that same way. So this event that I just did in Costa Rica, I met 4 other people that run big events that I've now gotten opportunities in with. So even though I didn't get paid to go there and do it, I took that opportunity and turned it into 4 more.
Yeah.
So each of those things is another stepping stone, but it's so different than I found in digital marketing, because most people, even though they say they want to be speakers, they don't actually practice it, right? Yeah. So they're not actually asking for the sale. They're not asking for the next person. They're not asking for that opportunity.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people need speakers at their events, and will actually pay for speakers at their events.
Yeah.
But people just don't flex that muscle no differently than they don't start the podcast or do anything else.
Yeah, dude, that's great. And once you have some competency in your niche that you're going to be speaking on, it's dude, it can a lot of doors open, man, when you're willing to put yourself on them stages, Yeah. And it is scary. I get scared every freaking time.
Yeah. So. It's definitely scary, but
what's your pre-speech routine?
Man,
you jump on a trampoline like Tony Robbins?
No, to be honest,
say a prayer. And
this past time I sat by the ocean because I was in Costa Rica. Yeah. So that was a nice little meditation. But typically just meditation and breathing exercises. So that was what I typically do every single time, and it's worked out well.
That's good. How do people connect with you? Where do they reach out? If they want you speaking on stages,
absolutely.
Or, to work with your agency for SEO or whatever else.
So you can head over to AdamMcChesney.com. It's got all the links to my social platforms that are out there. Instagram is going to be the best one, and that's Adam L. McChesney. And then regardless if it's speaking, digital marketing, feel free to shoot me a message, and we can take it from there.
What's your OnlyFans handle again?
Don't have that was supposed to be private.
But, you were just telling me in private.
That's for you,
the exclusive offer.
Yeah.
And if you want the exclusive offer, send us a DM, and we'll give you an RBO promo code for his OnlyFans as well. So, dude, appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah, thanks for having
me. Really enjoyed this one. So, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you share it with somebody that you love, you care about, and you want to have them see progress in their life. One other thing, reviews. Was kind of slowed up on reviews on the podcast.
Yeah.
We need people to, go out there and give us the 5-star and say cool dudes or whatever you want to do. But please rate and review the show. Share the show. We love you guys. Keep kicking ass. We'll see you next week.